Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be reviewing the September Spellbinder Large Die kit, as you can see here. But first I wanted to share with you guys another popular hack that I've been using for a while now, and that is basically to print out your sentiment and then using die cuts to cut them. Previously, I used to buy so much sentiment stamps and just kept collecting them, and they kept piling up. But each time I bought them, I only used them once or twice because, again, when I send someone a card, I don't want to just keep sending the same sentiment. So I wanted to change it up. So with this technique, I'm able to print out a customized, personalized message, and I can put that person's name specifically on the message. And then I just use my die cuts there to cut out my message. You can easily use scissors to cut it out, but as I mentioned in my previous videos, I always like die cuts better because it always gives the cutout a beveled look rather than just a flat piece of paper. So instead of sentiment stamps, I end up buying a lot more sentiment dies. So this one here, it has the word of the die, but it also has a shadow to it. So here what I did was I cut the word itself out of black cardstock, and I used vellum to cut out the shadow. And then I put the cardstock on top of the vellum, which makes it like pop out better. So this is the September die kit here. So in the front of the pack, it'll have the die itself, and then in the back, it kind of gives you the picture instructions of how to assemble the whole kit. I thought it was really cool. My only qualm with this kit was there's a lot of small little intricate pieces. I understand it gives the whole look more details, but I just find it very tedious. With that being said, I love the vegetables die that came with this kit. I can totally see it being used for other projects. So for this video, I'm only going to be making just a demo card just to show you what it looks like if you use all of the dies that came with the kit. However, in later videos, I'll do other Thanksgiving-y kind of fall holiday cards that use some of the pieces of this card. So another thing I did here was I just basically cut out the image for reference, and I pasted it to the back of my card chipboard there, so that way later on I can just go back and reference what piece belongs where, because this took me a little bit to figure it out. As you can see there on the upper right hand corner, all those little black little pieces and all the little trinkets, I kind of forget where how they fit into the whole die. So then yeah, those images help a lot. I find myself flipping back and forth a lot when going to assemble this kit. Another point is that I am not a natural at deciphering what color goes with what other color. So my method is just straight trial and error. I'll just cut out a bunch of different things and I'll combine them just to see what works and what doesn't. And I have to say, since recently I've been making a lot more cards, and I've been making cards much more frequently than I was before, I found several tools that are like really helpful when it comes to die cut. So you see that right there, that pointy tool. Well, originally I bought that for bracelet making, but I find myself using it a lot to get the little bits and pieces off my dies. And also, I love the wax pencil because, as you can see, some of the pieces from the die cuts are those little dots, the little tiny pieces, and it takes forever to try to pick it up with your hand. So I use a little wax pencil to kind of pick things up. It makes it so much easier and less aggravating, especially when you're trying to assemble these little tiny pieces and, your finger is covering and you can't see it. So yeah, the wax pencil helps tremendously with. And of course, when you're dealing with these type of die cuts, just always remember that you always want to have some sort of coloring or a stamp kit on the side with a brush, so that you kind of like grade the color in. So as you can see there, you see those corn leaves that are in green, a little more light green. So if you would have just kept it light green, it would make the image kind of boring, right? Same thing with the corn. If I would have kept it the way it was, it would make the image very flat and boring. So once you finish die cutting, I know it's a little bit more tedious, but try to go in with ink or something so that you can kind of blend the color out. Now, you don't have to be a blend extraordinaire. Trust me, I am not one of them. But what I do is I just go by likeness color, right? So if it's a yellow, I go to yellow, orange, and then I kind of just start with dark and I blend myself up to a lighter color to kind of give it like a ripening look. Just like my last video with the strawberries, I like things to look more realistic. It has kind of like a gradient effect to it. I wish I was much better at shadow coloring, but I'm not. I'm terrible at shadow coloring, so I try to make it work. Since it's my first time opening up this kit, I have no clue what I was doing. So I just basically did a bunch of cuts. So I must have cut out like 10 corns and like 4 pumpkins and 5 squash. I just cut a bunch of stuff out just to make sure I had enough when it was time for assembly, because who wants to go back and cut more stuff when it comes to assembly, right? So for the wheel part, I thought it was cool to use metallic because, you know, most wheel, the hubcap is metal. So that's what I did here. And the assembly part is fairly simple. I mean, you just follow the instruction thing. Like, again, it gets a little tedious when you're dealing with the little tiny little pieces, but as long as you have that image in the back, you're able to follow the instruction and able to produce this really cool image. So as you can see here, I started putting down the metallic pieces, and wow, the image started to come together, and I am so glad that I opted for the gold. I think maybe next time I'm gonna use maybe silver foil paper, so that way I have 2 different kinds. But yeah, definitely, I bet you this is probably the shiniest tractor you have seen, right? I think for my next card, I might do some coloring on the car itself, kind of like give it like a muddy look. So maybe I'll do like a dark brown at the bottom of the car and then just kind of like work my way up so it looks more muddy and rustic. I don't know. It's a thought. Tell me what you think if you did try it. So again, here I'm just following what the image look like, and I'm really glad I found that like cardstock that has like wood grain in them. So those that gray piece right there, it's actually a cardstock with wood grain on them, so it looks really cool when I assemble it. So it wasn't like a flat a piece of paper. It had like little what was it, embossing of wood on it, so that was a really nice, interesting touch. Oh, and I love these little sentiments that came with the kit as well, and I did it on gold paper, and I just kind of put it in the card, kind of give it like what is it, like a tag kind of look. It's really nice. So again, as I mentioned before, as you can see here, I just took a dark orange and I highlighted it in the ridges, and then I went in with a lighter orange and then kind of like gradient myself up. I mean, there's literally no rhyme or reason to this, guys. I'm just going on a whim, and at the end of the day, I cut like 3 or 4 of these, and if I screw up, I'll just grab another one, I guess. But for the most part, you honestly, you cannot screw up, because I mean, there's no perfect way to color the corn. I mean, the orange and the yellow is already from the cardstock, so all it is just you just make it blend a little better. So as you can see there, since I applied the different gradient coloring, it just make the corn pop so much better. And of course, you know, I have to try to go in with my baller and try to make it 3D, but in all honesty, it wasn't really worth it because it really didn't do much to it. I mean, the balling technique, I think, is more so for anything that you want to be like bobbler looking, but this it was already looking pretty good, so I didn't really need to do much else. So there it is. I'm just coloring that little side piece there a darker green, because when I look at the image, that's what they had to make it look more, it looked like it was covering the corn more. So I agree with that. That looks really good. So as you can see there for my corn. And then now I'm just attaching the little nubbins on the squash and the pumpkin. And this is my favorite part, the assembly. Oh, how I love it. So I glued all the fruit together, and then I put the pop-up tape, the foam tape on the cart, and then plopped it on top. So it didn't look like it was just flat and resting against the cart. It looks like it was actually in the cart, among the cart, you know, give it like more interest. So of course, you know, I bought out my baller and I made the flower pop up rather than being flat on the card. And originally I was gonna use the paper center, but that didn't look good. So then I just used my rhinestones. And then there it is. I'm going now to put, oh God, this is the worst part for me, is aligning it so it looks straight. I thought that T ruler was gonna help me. Honestly, it didn't really do much. So if any one of you guys have tips and tricks as to how to align your card perfectly on the base, please comment down below and let me know, because it's basically still a struggle that I am struggling with. And I thought the T ruler was going to be my solution, but I guess not. So basically after I have my top basically settled on the base correctly and aligned nicely, I basically flat tape the card, and then I use pop-up tape to put on the card itself, again to add more interest to the card itself. So there you have it. So now it's sentiment time, of course. So you know, with the vellum and the cardstock that we completed previously earlier in the video. So now I'm just putting on some foam tape, and be careful to only put the foam tape on the black leathering from the back end, because if you have it shown on the vellum and not covered by the black cardstock on top, it's going to show through and it's not going to look as nice. So there you have it. You can lightly put it on top, so that way at least you can lift it up and down, so then you can adjust it how you want it to look. And then there is my printed sentiment, my Thanksgiving one. And so I just put again the foam tape, and then just put it wherever it is that I want it to stay. And I love this so much better than buying hundreds of sentiment, not being able to use it or use it too infrequently to make it worth the money and the time that you spent to buy it. And so there you have it. Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, Father's Day, holiday, Halloween, whatever you want. And guess what? You don't have to store it anywhere in your house. You just literally open up a Microsoft Word document or any kind of Word document you have, type it in, change it to the font of your desire, and then just print it out and then die cut it, or even scissor cut it, whatever you want it to be. I just love this way of doing it because I have been struggling for a very long time to find the right sentiments. And you know what? When you watch the craft videos, they always have the cool sentiments that you're like, wow, I want that one. So now I can just type it up and print it out. So here I'm just showing you the difference between stamping and printing. So as you can see there, you can see minute little details where the top sentiment, where the stamping didn't make it all the way through. But at the bottom, since it's printed, it's very clear, it's very crisp, and you can see that I don't have to put that much effort into it. I don't have to stamp. I don't have to waste money on stamping or the ink. Just print it. Yes, so there you have it. That is the card that I have made, at least the top of it. And in my previous videos, I showed you how I attach it to the white base of the card where it folds and open like your typical card. But this is the face of the card, which is the most important part anyways. So with that in mind, I would like to thank you guys for watching my video. Make sure you hit that like button and also that subscribe button for future content. And I know it's a little bit early for Thanksgiving, but you know what? The die cut kit came, and so I figured I might as well start now and just kind of show you guys what I've created. Anywho, thank you for watching. Have a good one, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Have a good one. Bye.